All right, so hopefully Instagram, everybody, hopefully you got this live working properly the first time through today. We're going to see in a minute. We're going to see if we get some activity popping up here. I'll get our title pinned, and as soon as I see some activity, then we'll start the Facebook live, because then I know at least it's working. All right, there we go. So we got some activity. We got some signs of human life coming in. We are live on Facebook. What's good, everybody on Facebook? If you're watching this on replay, it's all right. If you're not watching it live, I know everybody don't catch it live. Y'all should catch it live, because that's when I'm answering your questions. But you got to catch it late. You catch it late. Get it how you live. As y'all checking in, make yourself known. Show some signs of human life. Do something so that I know that you are in here. Get yourself recognized. We're going to get started in like 30 seconds, because whoever's on time, whoever's early is on time. Whoever's on time is late. And whoever is late, we don't even know them. So my name is Dre Baldwin, for those of you who don't know. And we're going to get started in like 30 seconds. We're going to see who comes in. We got another rainy afternoon here. Hopefully I won't get caught in the rain tonight like I did yesterday when I go outside after this live. But as y'all coming in, go ahead and make yourself known. Facebook, you can leave a comment. Tell me who you are. IG, you can leave a comment. You can tap the screen also. IG, whoever's tapping the screen, appreciate it. On Facebook, you can hit that share button. Share this to your timeline with someone who you think needs it. Somebody you know needs this. So go ahead and share that to your timeline. And you can hit the like button. I'm not even going to know, but you can hit the like button on Facebook. I'll see it later. We'll see the engagement. My assistant will see the engagement. Agoninophobia. What's good? Hope you're having a great day. You're working on your game right now. All right, shout out to everybody who's working on their game, any game. If you're here, you're going to work on your game just by listening to me. So we're getting started. Whoever's here is here. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, former 9-year professional athlete, author of 26 books, creator of over 15,000 pieces of content. I've done 4 TED Talks. I'm a speaker, coach, consultant, athlete, as I already told you, product creator, content creator, live streamer, podcaster. My content, 7,000 of them through video. Y'all know where to find videos, right? YouTube. I got 7,000 articles on my website, dreallday.com. I have a daily audio masterclass that is called Work on Your Game. Y'all can find that on any podcasting app that you prefer. I do have a university called Work on Your Game University. And guess what? My university was not affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you still want to get some education, but you can't go to your college campus because of COVID-19. Listen, some universities are still open. Work on Your Game University is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. All right, there are no off days at Work on Your Game University. So if you're into that kind of stuff, I don't know if you are, then go to Work on Your Game U. You can see it right down there on Facebook and right here on Instagram as well. What else? And this whole thing, Mattia checking in on Facebook. Was good, everybody on Facebook. Everything I talk about is under this philosophy called Work on Your Game. One of my books is called Work on Your Game. It's about taking the mentality and the tools necessary to get into the top 1% of what you do. Anyone listening to this who wants to get in the top 1% of what you do, what I teach will help you do that, first of all, internally in the way you think, and secondly, you'll do it externally as far as your actions. Now, Work on Your Game is for 3 specific types of people: people who want more game, people who need to get better at performing their game, and people who need to get better seen in their game by the right people who can help you get to where you need to get to, whether that be people who want to buy from you, people who need to hear from you, people who need to have you on their team, have you in their organization, getting seen by those right people. So getting game, performing your game, getting recognition for your game. You need one of those 3 problems solved. Selling your products, whatever it is, Work on Your Game is for that. Now, what we're talking about here today is why a strong leader must be a good follower. Now, I posted on IG and Facebook earlier today. Y'all saw that text meme that I posted earlier, how we often choose the wrong people as leaders. And one of the reasons that we choose the wrong people as leaders is because we don't know a lot about leadership, what we should be looking for in a leader. And I was talking specifically about our culture, but people in general do this. And a lot of people don't know how to lead because they also don't know how to follow. And some people think they can step straight into leadership without going through the apprenticeship of following. And I think that is completely incorrect. I know that is completely incorrect, because today I'm going to give you a full framework on how, if you plan on being a leader in life, and whether that's a leader of other men meaning humans, not males, or just being a leader of yourself, you must also know how to follow. If you can't follow properly, then it will be impossible for you to lead effectively. So what we're going to talk about here is this is specifically for leaders, people who plan on leading, how to position yourself to lead, first of all, to follow properly, which will then equip you to be a leader. Point number one, to best direct and inspire other people to perform their roles as a leader, you must first know what it feels like to be in their position. See, if you want to tell somebody else, hey, here is how you follow me, or these are the things that I want you to do. I'm the leader, so I'm going to tell you what I want you to do. I'm going to show you the direction that we're going to go, and I want y'all to follow. You need to know what it feels like to be in their position in order to best direct them. Because see, if you don't know how it feels to be in somebody else's position, it's really hard to speak to that person and get through to them from where they stand. And here's something that I'm going to let you know. People can tell when you don't know what it feels like to be where they're at, because you're going to say things that are tone deaf. You're going to say things that make them feel like you have no idea how they feel. You're going to say things that will make them believe that you only are thinking about what you need and what you want and what you're going to get. You're not considering at all what they need, want, or what they're going to get. And the problem with that is they're not really going to listen to you. They will become, your words will fall on deaf ears and you'll be ineffective simply because you can't speak their language. I got a whole master class at Work on Your Game University where I talk about being able to speak the language of other people. This is something that goes right along with what everything is going on in the world right now. I can say that with every single thing that I put out. Everything I say, I can relate back to anything that's going on in current events, even though my content is 99% evergreen. That y'all saw when all the unrest going on in America and the world happened a couple weeks ago, when it first started a couple weeks ago, because it's still happening. You saw a lot of companies and people put out statements and say stuff, and most of them, a lot of people are like, well, we don't really believe you. We think you're just saying that because you're trying to save your behind, because you would get canceled or attacked otherwise if you didn't say anything. People saw right through it. And the reason why people saw right through it is going right to the point that I'm making here, is because these companies and these people were making these statements saying what they thought people wanted to hear, but what those companies and people did not understand was what it felt like to be in the positions of the people that they were making the statements to. Therefore, their statements were very tone deaf, because they didn't know the language of the people they were talking to. So companies are putting out these statements like, well, we believe this and we're about this and we're going to help you do this, or we want to listen to this. And people are like, no, you don't. You're just saying that because you're just trying to save yourself right now. And that's exactly what they were trying to do. And they couldn't lie about it. They couldn't front and act like that wasn't the case, because that absolutely was the case. And this is what happens for anyone in a position of leadership, any kind of leadership. You could be a leader just by being popular. You could be a leader just because you did something first. You could be a leader just because you're the best at something and everyone else is copying what you're doing. If you don't understand the position of the people whom you are leading, you don't understand their perspective, then how are they going to be able to follow you to wherever you're going? How are they even going to understand your communication? Well, it's a trick question, because they won't understand it. So you personally, if you know how to follow directions, if you know how to play and anybody who had questions or anything, I will address those at the end. For those who don't know, I address all questions at the end. So if you don't know, or if you do know how to follow directions, how to play a supporting role, if you know how to fall back when the situation calls for it because you're not the person in charge, it will be much easier for you to communicate with other people when you want them to do the same thing. See, if you know what it feels like to have somebody give you direction and you follow it, then you will probably be a lot better at giving direction so that other people will follow you. But if you don't know what it feels like to take direction, the right way and the wrong way, then you might give direction in a way that other people maybe don't appreciate it. They don't really hear you. Your point is not really getting across, or people don't want to follow it because maybe they just don't like the way you communicate it, or maybe you were not clear enough in your communication. Then people aren't following you. They're not doing what you want them to do, and you think they're just being mean, or they're jerks, or they're stupid, or something wrong with them. No, it's none of those. The problem is you just don't understand how to speak their language. So this is why every great leader has also been a great follower at some point. You find anyone who became or rose to being a great leader, I guarantee if you dig into their story, read their autobiography, or read any books about them, or go watch a documentary about any person who's known as a great leader, you will absolutely find that they served an apprenticeship, probably multiple apprenticeships, plural, being a solid follower. And that's how, when they finally got to a position of leading people, they knew exactly how to communicate with the people, because they know what it feels like to be one of the people. If you don't know what it feels like to be one of the people, then it's really hard to talk to the people. And here's the thing these days, ladies and gentlemen, it's 2020 when we're having this conversation. From this point forward, all of us have access to so much information. We have access to so much data. We have access to everybody's opinion. Some of it is accurate. Some of it is not. Some of the opinions are useful. Some of them are not. But it's not that we're in the dark. All right. One thing that we are not is in the dark anymore. We can see through everything that people have going on, everything that people are doing, and we can see when the BS meter is going off with a company, especially, and with people when we think they have ulterior motives. So you as a leader, if you're not speaking the right language of the people that you're trying to follow, it's going to fall on deaf ears. People are not going to hear you, and you're going to be wondering why there's crickets when you're saying the things that you're saying. Or if you're already known and you say something and people respond negatively to it, and you're wondering why they responded in such a hostile manner to what I said, is because they understand that the language that you're speaking is not the language that they're speaking. They see right through it. And nowadays, as you can see on social media, people have no problem calling you out on your BS when you are indeed preaching some BS. Point number 2. Today's topic is why a strong leader must also be a strong follower. And again, I take all questions at the end. Understand that effective leaders, here's the way that you can point out an effective leader. So for anybody who wants to know what an effective leader is, an effective leader is not about your ability to orate, how great of a speech giver you are, even though being able to speak well will definitely help. Public speaking is a great skill that will multiply every other tool that you have. It is not about how necessarily popular you are, because being a leader is relative. It depends on who you're trying to lead and where you're trying to take them. You can lead 10 people and make more impact than somebody who's leading 100,000 people, because it depends on where you're leading them to. All right, 10 people can get somewhere that produces more result than 100,000, depending on who's leading it, who those people are in that group, and how fast they get there. So it's not about the actual number of people you're leading, and it's also not about any other vanity metric. As in social media, numbers we get on social media, we call them vanity metrics, because you don't get paid for the vanity metrics on social media. You only get paid for tangible metrics in the business world, such as customers, clients, receipts, revenue, and sales. But the point that I'm making here, when it comes to being an effective leader, here's how you identify an effective leader. It is by how many leaders they create. An effective leader is not based on how many followers they have, but how many leaders they create. Do you understand the difference between that? See, there could be one leader with 1,000 followers, but everybody there is a follower. So if anything ever happens to that leader, or that leader needs somebody else to step up and help, none of those people is qualified to help, because they're all followers. None of them is qualified yet to lead. None of them has ascended to a leadership role or even leadership status. But let's say there's a leader out there who has only 100 people following, right? They got 10% the size of the other person's following, but out of those 100 people that are following, 10 of those 100 people have ascended to leadership status. 10 of those people have gotten better and grown and been developed and groomed into leadership positions. So now, when maybe that leader needs to step aside, or that leader decides to retire, or that leader just goes and does something else, and they're like, I want to keep this organization going though, I'm going to appoint the next person to step up. They can look amongst their group and they can find a leader from within and raise that individual up. Leaders create more leaders. Followers, or unqualified leaders, they create followers. So the next time you see someone calling themselves a leader, or position themselves as a leader, or saying that they are a leader, look at what they've done and see if you can look into what they've done, or what their organization is, or who's around. How many leaders have come out of their work? How many leaders have been produced? Or do they just have a bunch of followers? Because see, leadership replicates itself. That's the thing about leadership. A great leader is going to replicate, and there are going to be more leaders that come out of it. A good example would be, many of you probably not even old enough, but if y'all follow the NFL football, there was this coach for the San Francisco 49ers. His name was Bill Walsh. And he coached the 49ers back when like Jerry Rice and Joe Montana and those guys were playing. He won a few Super Bowls, but he had all these coaches who worked under him. Another guy who fit this description is a guy named, actually, is he one of them? Yeah, I guess you would say Bill Parcells is another one, who was the coach of the New York Giants when they won the Super Bowl. He coached in Dallas for a little bit. But both of these guys had this thing called the coaching tree. And in football, you have all these assistant coaches, right? So Bill Walsh, when he was the head coach for the 49ers, he had all these assistant coaches who, when Bill Walsh moved on and retired from football, a bunch of the coaches who used to work for him, they all went and got head jobs all over the NFL. And one of them was Mike Holmgren. He was the coach of the Green Bay Packers. Another one was Mike Shanahan, who coached, I think he coached the 49ers for a minute. He coached the Denver Broncos when they won some Super Bowls. And there was a bunch of other ones. I can't remember all the guys' names. You can go look it up yourself. with Bill Parcells. He had Bill Belichick, who coaches it. Everybody knows Bill Belichick. There was a few other, I can't even remember all these guys' names because I don't watch football that close. But both of these guys had these deep coaching trees where all the dudes who used to work for them, when those guys stepped aside, all the people who used to work for them, they raised up and they started going and getting head coaching jobs and winning championships, and they started their own coaching trees. So it started with this one guy at the top, and then it just got big. It was like a family tree. One person at the top, and then all this other success was created within it. That's what happens when a strong leader exists, that more leaders are going to come out of what that individual is doing. So you can look at this in any type of organization-based work, where people have other people working with them, for them, under them, however you want to call it. Leaders should be ascending from within the ranks. If leaders are not ascending from within the ranks, then there's a problem. Most business organizations, usually their aim is they want to hire the next leader from within the organization. They don't want to have to bring in a CEO from outside of the organization, because often the outside CEO, they don't know the culture. They didn't grow up in the culture. They didn't have to build themselves up from ground zero like everybody else did. And sometimes, not every time, but sometimes there's some hostility towards an outside leader who gets brought in because everybody else is like, yo, you didn't do the work that we did. You haven't been here like we have. You haven't grown up through the culture the way that we did. So when the right type of organization is run by the right leader, a whole bunch of other leaders come up through there. If you look at a company like Apple, I'm talking to y'all right now through an Apple sold device. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak started that company. But if you look at who Steve Jobs has been passed away for 10 years now. Who's running Apple now? Tim Cook. Tim Cook came from within the ranks of Apple. And there are other people who work there. If you read the book Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson, you'll notice a lot of any of you who's really into the tech world, you would know these names. Most of y'all who's not in the tech world, you wouldn't recognize any of these names. Of course, you heard of Steve Jobs, and maybe you heard of Tim Cook because he's the head guy. But there are a bunch of design people, a bunch of people who work in different departments in Apple. They all rose up and became leaders in their own right through working under that one guy. And they don't always stay in the organization. Sometimes the leaders, like I said, with the coaching tree in football, they go and start their own organizations. I'll give you another great example. I heard 50 Cent say this. And 50 just put a book out about 6 weeks ago called Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. And one of the things that he talked about in that book, and I heard him talk about this in his interviews like years ago, he said, when I started G-Unit, y'all remember G-Unit, the rap group, and I had all these rappers with me, the goal was I want them to watch me. I'm the leader. They're all under me. But I want them to watch me and follow me, see the moves that I'm making, see the way that I move as a leader, and then eventually each one of them should grow to the point that they don't want to be under me anymore, and they go and start doing their own thing. And he used the reference to like hustling in the street. So he's like, all right, when we start out, this is my block, I own this block, and y'all are my crew, the G Unit, y'all work for me. But eventually, y'all should get big enough to the point that you like, yo, I don't want to work for you no more. I'm going to go start my own block over there, and I'm going to go build my own crew and do my own thing. And 50 said in his latest book, he talked about this, that my goal was to groom those guys to where they could be leaders in their own right, and I don't need to rap anymore. But I had to keep rapping for longer than I even wanted to because these dudes never ascended to the leadership position. So that is both a failure of the followers to grow, but is also 50 got to take some responsibility for that. And I believe he did in the book, that maybe he didn't lead so strongly because the people that, or either he didn't lead well, or the people that he chose as his followers did not have the seeds of leadership within them. So this is another thing about a leader. If you're going to be a strong leader in life, the people that you choose to follow you, they have to have the potential for leadership within them, which means you must choose wisely who you want to follow you. Now, see, if you only look at what you see on social media platforms, you might think that the goal is to have everybody as a follower, right? You want as many followers as possible, right? Because the more followers you got, the bigger your numbers, and it makes you feel good. But the thing is, when we're having a leadership conversation, not a vanity metrics conversation, but a leadership conversation, you want to choose your followers. Now, you can't choose who chooses to follow you on Facebook or who subscribes to you on YouTube. I get that. What I'm saying is, with the way that you present yourself, with the things that you talk about, the topics that you discuss, what you tolerate, what you don't tolerate, your energy, the way that you communicate with your audience on a consistent basis, that should let people who are in your audience know, okay, this guy is for me or this guy is not for me. And that's all based on your presentation as a leader. And I talk about this. I have a masterclass at Work on Your Game University where I talk about rejection marketing. Some of y'all have heard of attraction marketing, where you present yourself in a certain way so that you attract people who want to be around you and they want to see what your lifestyle is about. And it used to be attraction marketing was like post your trips and your cars and your material goods and pictures of you in nice places. That's kind of played out now. People still do it a little bit, but it's kind of played out now because people see through it. But I'm telling you the exact opposite of that is what we call rejection marketing. Rejection marketing is when you still do you and you talk about what you talk about, but also with an angle that you know that certain things you say are going to turn people off, that may even piss people off, might make people upset, might make somebody say, you know what, I don't like that you said that, I don't want to listen to you no more, I'm unsubscribing, unfollow, whatever, and you're all right with that. That's what rejection marketing means. It means knowing that some of your messages are going to push some people away from you, but that's exactly the goal, because the people who remain are the type of people that you want in your audience. And if you are a leader, or you consider yourself a leader, you need to create or share yourself or communicate in such a way that only the type of people that you want, the type of people that you want to raise up in whatever you're doing, whatever it is that you're teaching, whether you're teaching credit repair, you're teaching mindset, you're teaching how to play soccer, you're teaching how to be a model, whatever it is you're doing, you want to create material that narrows down and filters out everyone who is not the exact specific type of individual that you want in your audience so that you can raise them up and get to the level. Because here's the reason why, especially on the internet, the more success stories you personally create, the better you look as a person. Because when you create a success story, you create the strongest form of marketing, which is known as word of mouth. Now, see, if you get great success from something that I say or something that I share and you feel great, that's one thing. But if you go tell somebody, that's worth 20 times you telling one of your friends something positive about Dre Baldwin, or let's say one of my books or something that I said, is worth 20 times me saying something great about me. Because of course I'm gonna say good stuff about myself, right? Because I gotta hype up my own stuff. But if you say it to somebody else, that's worth 20 times me saying it. That's word of mouth. That's the strongest form of marketing. It's stronger than any Facebook ad or Google campaign. There's no advertising you can buy that's stronger than word of mouth. And you only create word of mouth when the people who are already connected to you are getting such value from you that they feel so compelled to tell somebody else, man, let me tell you how great this experience was that I had with this guy or that girl or this person over here. And you only do that when you self-select the right type of people to be in your audience, so that you know when you give them your message and your material, they're going to listen to it, they're going to take to it, they're going to apply it, they're going to implement it, and they're going to get a result from it. Everybody in your audience is not going to do that. Only some people are going to do that. But you need to be clear in the way you communicate that you're looking for a certain type of person. And that takes a little bit of strategic thinking on your part that you should be planning out when you're doing what you're doing. So if you would not follow another person's lead, you don't truly believe that that person can lead. And if you don't believe any of your followers can lead after a certain period of time, that means you're either failing in leadership or you're failing in your choosing of who you are attracting. So if you're attracting a whole bunch of followers, a whole bunch of do-nothing individuals who ain't really trying to go anywhere or achieve anything, then that's not their problem, because those type of people exist whether you want them to or not. The problem is something you did has made those people think that they should be following you. I don't want anybody who's not about growth and progress and making themselves better to be following me. My material is going to turn them off. They're going to be like, all right, I'm not about growth and progress and working on my game, so I ain't listening to this dude no more. And that's the way it's supposed to be. All right, that's the rejection marketing part of it. So some of you who's listening to me right now, you're like, oh, well, that's exactly what I want. But there are other people, you understand, who hear this and they're like, oh, I'm not interested in leaders. I don't want to hear that. They want to go watch the Meek Mill video. And that's all right. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But that ain't what I'm about, and that's not who I'm trying to attract. So you got to know that your communication is attracting a certain type of person. So look at the people who are following you, and they are a reflection of what you have been attracting. Point number 3. The topic here today is why a strong leader must also be a good follower. Understand that leading, ladies and gentlemen, is not all about being a boss and giving directions and telling this person you do this and you do that and being a shot caller. That's not all leading is about. Is that part of it? Yes. Part of leading is you will tell people what to do. You will dictate to people. You will have to sometimes lay the hammer down and let people know they're not doing the right thing when people aren't doing what you need them to do. But understand, leading is also about being open-minded enough to recognize when someone else within your group, they may have an idea or they may have a perspective or an opinion that's better than yours. They may have something that they're willing to offer. And you, 2 things. Number 1, you must be open enough as a person to where anyone in your group, even though they know you're the person on top, that they still feel comfortable speaking their mind to you and knowing that they're not going to get shut down or shot down for saying something. And number two, you being flexible enough and open-minded enough as a person to where when they do offer you something, you can look at it objectively and say, okay, even though I'm a level above this person, their opinion or their idea is better than my idea. So you know what? We're going to throw away my idea and we're going to use their idea because it's better. And you got to be, that takes a high level of personal security. It takes a high level of personal maturity. An insecure leader or an immature leader is not willing to listen to something that came from one of their subordinates or a person who reports to them or somebody who's a few levels down on the organizational chart because they're too worried about their own personal ego. Now, a very secure leader, a strong leader, they want to hear from everybody. They want to hear from anybody in the organization. You could be 5 levels down in the organization, but if you have an idea that will help the organization, they want to know about it. They are open to hearing it. They will listen to you and show you the same respect that they would expect you to show them. And if your idea is actually good and is useful and there's a way to implement it and try it out, they're going to try it. And if it works, they're going to recognize you for it. That's what a strong leader does. So I'm telling you, when you get into a position of leadership, or if you are already in one, or you're trying to become a person in a position of leadership, you got to be this open yourself as the leader that other people can come to you, have a better idea than you, have better plans than you. So you could have people in your group who are smarter than you. They might know things better than you know them, and still be secure enough that even though they may be better than you, you don't feel small just because somebody outshined you or you're looking at it like who's shining more. If you're even looking at it like that, you're competing. You shouldn't be competing with people in your own organization. It makes no sense. That organization is not going to go far. As the leader, everyone in the group needs to feel like they can come to you if they have something to share that would help, and that they know they're going to be heard, they're going to be respected, they're going to be listened to, and if it works, it will be implemented. Because if they see that they have a good idea or they have something to offer and you either don't listen or you're very insecure, so you kind of smother their opinion even though they have a better opinion than yours, or you listen to it but then you don't implement it, you give them lip service like, yeah, we'll try that, and then you never do anything. You think people don't recognize that? You think people don't remember that? You said you were going to try something and you didn't? They're not going to complain to you because you're the boss. You're the one in charge, right? And they may be way down. They might lose their job if they say anything else. They're not going to complain to you. They're not going to make a big story out of it. But as soon as they get an opportunity to go somewhere else, they'll be gone. And you'll be wondering what happened, and you didn't even remember that you didn't listen to them the first time. So you as the leader, you must be open enough in spirit, if not in title, that you are willing to follow others who are inside your group, even if they're below you in the hierarchy, just because they have something to offer that may be willing to help the group. Because the goal of the leader is not for everybody to recognize you as the man or the woman. That's not the goal of the leader. Maybe that's part of what comes with the job, but that's not the goal. The goal is whatever your goal is, whatever your strategic direction is. The strategic direction of our business is we want to make more money, or we want to help people do this, or in sports we want to win a championship, whatever it is. So if there's a sports team and y'all want to win the championship, the best player on the basketball team, maybe everybody knows who that best player is, but listen, if the third best player is having a great game and they score 40, 50 points in a game, the best player is not going to not give them the ball because they're mad because they're not getting all the attention. No, because the goal is not who gets the attention. The goal is win the game. And if the goal is win the game, then the best player, if they're a true leader, they don't have a problem with the third best player scoring 50 points on a random night, because they know the goal is to win. The goal is not to get the attention. And the best player is going to get the attention overall in aggregate anyway. And again, a secure leader understands this without it needing to be explained to them. But I'm explaining it to you all now so none of you ever make this mistake when it comes to leadership. So I'm going to recap these points. I'm going to tell you how you can get both of these books for free. Actually, let me tell you how you get both of these books for free. Then I'll recap the points and I'll take questions. So this right here, Mirror Motivation, Self-Guide to Self-Discipline. The book's already paid for. You take care of the shipping at mirrormotivation.com. The purpose of this book so you can step into that leadership role, step into a new you with a new energy. Even when you take the same actions as before with a new energy, you get different results. Mirrormotivation.com. This right here is the Overseas Basketball Blueprint for anyone who wants to play basketball overseas. Even if you've been overlooked, underrated, never got a shot, but you got the talent, balloverseas.com. Take your shot at playing professional basketball. It's the best job in the world. Your travel's paid for, your food's paid for, your housing's paid for, and you get a salary. All you got to do is play ball for 2 to 3 hours a day. There's no better job than that. If you got the game, balloverseas.com. Now, let me recap these points, and I'm going to take questions. The topic, again, is why a strong leader must be a good follower. Point number 1, to best direct and inspire other people to perform at their best. It would help that you understand the role. If you want to speak the language of the people that you want to follow, it would help if you know what it feels like to be in their shoes. If you've never been in their position, Do what you need to do. Serve an apprenticeship, whatever you got to do, so you know what it feels like to be in the role of the follower. So when it's time for you to step in as a leader, you know exactly what to do. When I got my first job out of college, I was working at Foot Locker, and because I had a degree from college, they hired me as a manager. But since I didn't know anything about the Foot Locker system, they told me, all right, for the first month or so, you're going to work. We're going to still pay you like a manager, but you're going to be like a regular worker because you need to learn how things work here. Otherwise, how you going to tell other people what to do if you don't even know how to do it? So the first month, I was doing like regular work. The head manager would be there, and I would just do regular work. I was folding T-shirts and putting sneakers away and stuff like that because I had to learn the system. And then when it was time for me to step up and actually be the manager running the thing, I knew how to tell other people what to do because I knew what it felt like to be in the role player position. Point number 2. Effective leaders create other leaders. Effective leaders are not people with the most followers. They're the people who create the most leaders. That is the difference between an effective leader and a leader in title. And some people are leaders in titles. They get themselves a title of leader. But you look around at the people following them, do you see any other leaders there? If you don't, then that means that person is not effective as a leader, or they were bad at choosing the people who follow them. And if you look at yourself and you say, well, on social media, how do you control the people who follow you? You control who follows you based on the message that you put out, the stuff that you talk about every day, the way that you present yourself, the way that you communicate with your audience. Let your audience know what you're about, who you are, and who you're talking to. Because if I start talking about this leadership stuff and somebody start following me and they were expecting to see something other than leadership, they're going to unfollow because they're like, I don't care about this. This is not interesting to me. This is boring to me. And that's all right because everybody has the right to feel how they feel. But I want to make sure my communication is speaking clearly to the right type of person and getting rid of the wrong type of person. That's your job as a leader, to make sure your communication is attracting the right type of people and rejecting the wrong type of people. Point number 3, leading is not about giving direction and dictating, even though that is part of the job sometimes. It's about also being open-minded enough and open-spirited enough that other people in the group can come to you and say, hey, I have a suggestion, I have something to offer, or I have an opinion, or I have a criticism of what's going on. And you being open-spirited enough that they feel comfortable coming to you, number 1, and open-minded enough that if they have an idea that's better than your idea, that you will implement it, number 2. I'll tell you how I became an entrepreneur. A lot of people don't even know this story. I used to put all these basketball videos on YouTube back in the day. So this was I started putting videos on YouTube like 2006. So around 2009, a bunch of players would ask me, hey, Dre, can you make me a workout program? Like individual players would ask me this, and I would always say no because it was too many people. But then somebody left a comment on a video, and they said, Dre, how about you just take all the workouts that you do yourself and just write them down and then put it out, and then other people could just work out the way that you work out. And I said, you know what, that is a good idea. I didn't know who this kid was, still don't know who it was to this day. I said, that's a great idea, but if I do that, I'm going to charge for it because I'm giving you value, y'all give me value back. And people said, we'll do it as long as it doesn't cost too much, we'll pay for it. So I started making digital programs for $4.99. I called it Hoop Handbook. I still have that website, hoophandbook.com, to this day. And that was because I wasn't so arrogant in my position of influence that I wasn't willing to listen to some random commentator who had a suggestion that could help me. His suggestion helped me get into business. And again, I had to be open-minded enough to listen to that. A lot of people get into a position of leadership, and then you offer them anything that may be a critique of what they're already doing, and they don't want to hear it because they're too insecure and they are too small-minded to listen to anybody other than themselves. Make sure you don't make that mistake. So now let me take any questions that we got in the comment section. Again, the topic, why a strong leader must also be a strong or a good follower. So anybody got a question, go ahead and post it right now. Make sure it's related to the topic and we will address it. Somebody said they used Meek to fight for prison reform. I mean, I get his position because he got sent to his most recent stint. He was in prison for something that he shouldn't have went to prison for, but the judge had a grudge against him, so he's trying to prevent something like that from happening to other people. So I understand his position, but it can be hypocritical. I understand how some people can see it that way. I've even posited that question, but I get how he feels as a person. I can see how he could feel because he's the one who was sitting in jail. So I get it. Somebody says irrelevant. Well, to some people. He said, we are so good at shedding light on things we resent. That's true. Savage Fitness said, I'm waiting for the rest of the books from the advanced bundle. Well, we should have sent you a, what do we call that? We would have sent you a shipment notification, so check your email, team@workonmygame.com. Anything you order, you will get. That's a guarantee. Stevie Clark, what's good? Bo Goja said I'm early. It's 5:15 every day. 5:15, not 6:15, 5:15. Hoop Loud, what's going on? Oops. Let's see. Do we got any more questions? Should I root for my favorite team even if I got beef with a lot of fans? You gotta ask me a better question. Question is, what if a new employee corrects an employee who's been there 20 years? Should the old employee get pissed off? Well, I can't really say whether somebody should be mad or not mad. I can't really quantify that question. So this book right here is called Work on Your Game, Using the Pro Athlete Mindset to Dominate Your Game in Business, Sports, and Life. I just called a publisher and ordered a bunch of copies of this book, so they're going to be on the way soon. This is a hardcover book. You can get this book at workonyourgamebook.com. In addition to the book, we're going to give you over $1,200 in digital bonuses immediately that you can access today. So while you wait for the book to come in the mail, then, you can access the digital bonuses right now. So while the book is on its way, you get the digital bonuses. Again, workonyourgamebook.com. This is where I took my whole philosophy, this whole work on your game, all this stuff, and I took the best material that you need. If you just need to get a crash course in this whole philosophy, then it's right here. Now, if you want to get the details, all you got to do is come to this live, and you'll get that. And then if you want to get the deep details, you want to get the real masterclass course, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. So there's levels to this. Y'all got that? There's levels to this. You start off, entry right here. This book is free. All you do is take care of the shipping. Then you get this book. You get the whole philosophy, crash course, 250 pages right here. Then you can come to these lives. I'm going to give you a sneak peek at what the master classes look and sound like is this right here. And then you go to Work on Your Game University and you get the whole, what do we call that? The whole curriculum. You get a whole 4-year degree. All right, it ain't even 4 years. It goes on forever. Well, we started Working Your Game, the show, in 2016 to 2020. It's actually been more than 4 years. We started in April of 2016. It's now June of 2020. So it's 4+. This is graduate school. Now, y'all got me? Question, R. Burnett, is there a way to create financial freedom without investing in the stock market or real estate properties? Well, first of all, you had to define what financial freedom means. And then when you answer that question, then we can answer the rest of the question. But that will have to be defined. You have to define what that means. So I'll wait for R. Burnett to give me a follow-up to that so I can answer the question with more depth. If anybody else got a question, go ahead and post it. I'll wait like 30 seconds to see if somebody got a question. Somebody said, John Bunn, PMO to you 4 years ago. I don't know what that means. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're referring to. Money May said, I remember you used to use Periscope. Did you stop using Periscope because the audience was not as a productive rate? No, I stopped using Periscope because, I was using Periscope in like 2016. That was like 2015, 2016. And then what I started doing after that, that's when I started the podcast. I started Working on Your Game, the show. The masterclass started on the heels of the Periscopes. So a lot of the Periscopes that I did in like 2015, 2016, they became episodes of Work on Your Game. I re-recorded them, did them all over for Work on Your Game, the masterclass. And those Periscopes that I was doing told me, like, yo, I could just do a podcast instead of doing Periscopes every day. I could do a podcast, which became a masterclass, which became Work on Your Game University. So, yeah, the Periscope was live streaming. I think that was one of the first platforms that you could just do a live. So that was before YouTube had live. That was before Facebook had live. That was before Instagram had live. Periscope was one of the first ones. So that was the seed. Periscope was the seed for what is now Work on Your Game University. So that was a good catch, Money May. You're right. R. Barnett said, I'm talking about creating time and money so we can walk away from corporate America at an early age. Okay, well, I don't know what you mean by early age, but I guess any time is better than late, right? Well, first of all, you should listen to the masterclass I did on how to create your business online. So somebody asked me, I forget what the specific question was, the person asked me, but it was how to make money online, I believe was the question. And I went over the exact steps, the strategic steps that I followed to create money online. Now, there's a lot of ways to make money online. There's 1,000 ways to make money online. So I can't do a class on all of them, and I'm not qualified to do a class on all of them, but I am qualified to tell you how I did it. So one of the lives that I probably did this maybe 2 months ago, was how to create money online. So I would suggest now to get that, you can go to my YouTube. I don't even know if that video came out yet, but you can also go to Work on Your Game University, that's where I would suggest you go, R. Burnett. Work on Your Game University. Your first 2 weeks are free, so you can take any masterclass you want. We got an exclusive app that is only for people in the university, so you can get it on your phone, speed it up if you like to listen at faster speed. And you can get every masterclass I've ever done. So where I'm talking about business, mindset, leadership, all of that, Work on Your Game University.com. It was workonyourgameu.com. I didn't get the whole university word. It's a little bit too long. So as far as creating time and money, well, the way that you create time is you have to take some things off of your hands. And it depends on what you're doing with your time already. But as far as creating the money, you just got to look at just a simple formula. Look at what material you already have. Figure out what do you have that other people want. Figure out how you can package it in such a way that people will be willing to pay for it. Then you must learn to sell it. Having something that people want is one thing. Being able to sell it is another thing. So sales and creation are two completely different skills. So you got to learn how to market and sell your offer, whatever it is, whether you're offering coaching, you're selling books, you fix broken iPhone screens, you sell cars. You got to learn how to sell your thing. Selling the thing and creating the thing are two different things. And then you set your price and then you start selling. And that's the whole game right there. So that's the whole game in 30 seconds. But of course, there's a lot of details to that. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. I got you covered. Brandon Joseph said, put me on to you. I don't know what that's in reference to, but I got you. All right. No doubt, R. Burnett. Appreciate the question. All right. So workonyourgamebook.com is where you get the hardcover book. Balloverseas.com for anyone who wants to play overseas. MirrorMotivation.com for anybody who wants to get started. This is your entry-level book right here. This is your gateway drug to the whole Work on Your Game philosophy. Is MirrorOfMotivation.com. The book is free. You take care of the shipping. Balloverseas.com. This book is free. You take care of the shipping. This right here, Work on Your Game. This book is not free, but I am going to give you $1,200 in digital bonuses immediately when you order the book. So while you wait for the book to come in the mail, I'm going to give you $1,200 in bonuses you can access right now. Not now, but right now. Everybody, I do these lives every single day, 5:15 p.m. Eastern. Be here tomorrow. Work on your game. We out of here. Dre all day.